Hello to y'all. This is Mike. Your friendly bipolar blonde is off his meds. Um, yeah, I'm back in the yard. I'll upload this video later. That's my wife's Avalon. That's a Napa Avalon, not a Toyota. That thing's got a bunch of Napa parts on it. And that's the camper she lives in, RV. Believe it or not, that thing only has 28,000 miles on it. It's getting dirty though, sitting here in the yard. But I want to talk to you about I gotta go in and get ready for work. But anyway, I want to upload this. The Bayview Lake Bridge. Now, when I was in a foster home, this young lady, I think she's 14, her name is Wendy, which she would be my foster cousin, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, my step cousin. And she's telling this ghost story to me and Gerald and Tammy. That's my step brother and sister. And she's talking about how this dude's car broke down on Bayview Lake Bridge, or it cut off, or it wouldn't crank after they was sitting there, and he was going to go get help. And later on, his girlfriend or wife, whoever, she heard a noise on top of the car, and all of a sudden his head was right there in front of the windshield, his severed head, and stuff. She told us other stuff, had me all scared. I was a wimp back then, but later on in life, I wanted to face my fears and stuff, and anyway, I really didn't, get out a lot, when I was a teenager and stuff, I started driving when I was 17. Before that, it was just bicycles and dirt bikes and stuff, and a lot of times I went further with my dirt bikes than I should have. I could have run out of gas, but I didn't. But when I started driving, I mostly had local interest, and if I went anywhere, it's mostly just to Bessemer, which is 10 miles away. That was the closest big city, But later on, when I first got married to Jenny, we started riding, do a lot of riding in the country, going all over the place. And I was like, I want to check out that Bayview Lake Bridge. And I brought our fishing stuff with us, and well, I got there early, and talked to some people, and come to find out they made a new bridge and stuff. And I have since heard that thing's haunted. I don't know, but the local legend, mainly on websites, was you could hear somebody holler, if you're out there. You could drive on it, and it's like somebody might sit in the seat or something and get it wet. I forget, but a friend of mine told me that this guy had stopped on it, the old bridge, in a 57 Chevy, and he must have seen something, because he lit them tires up, and the base of the bridge was wood, and he just about set them tires on fire getting off of there. So he must have seen something, but he never, for what I could tell, told what he seen. Something spooked him. But anyway, I went there, And I wound up fishing under that bridge at night. It was just me and Jenny. And I never really felt any fear or anything. I caught about 3 fish on a stringer. It was real bushy around there. And I had my short rod, my long rod. Trying to get Jenny a fish. She never was much interested in hunting and fishing. You know, she shared some of my interests. She was my buddy. You know, Melvina would hunt and fish with me. She ain't been fishing in a while. I guess I joke around too much, you know. Something about putting a worm on her head and she almost beat her brains out trying to kill the poor worm. Or was that Jenny? I think it's Melvina. I don't know. I get confused on that. But anyway, it was at night, you know, and I had a flashlight and had 3 fish on a stringer. And this snake comes up. And, you know, it's like it's got its head out of the water coming up. And I seen it bite one of my fish I had on the stringer. And then it proceeded to come up to us. It was brave. And I don't see how, with all the tackle I had out, I don't see how Jenny didn't trip and fall over all that. But she was like boogity gone up the concrete bank there, you know. She was, man, I ain't never seen her move so fast since I tried to put that lizard on her. But yeah, man. But there I was. I can't move that fast, you know. I got a bad knee, and so what am I going to do? I ain't scared of snakes. That don't mean I'm tough. Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know. But anyway, what could I do? I was cautious around him. I grabbed one of the rods. I think it was a short rod, but I could get to it better because it's short. And as it's coming up at me, you know, which I was risking it, you know, I went towards it and slid that rod up under it, you know, and tried to wiggle it just right in the center, you know, while the snake was moving. And I lifted that thing up. Thank God, I guess the Lord helped me. I balanced that snake over that short rod, and I was able to sling it back into the lake. And it never came back, but I was paranoid. I stayed there 20 minutes longer, you know. A lot of times, you know, I'll stay long, you know, except for that time at Six Flags when me and Melvina got into it, fussing and stuff, and I left early. But usually I don't leave early at anything. I do something, I do it. I'm dedicated, you know. And but anyway, I kept on shining the flashlight around. I couldn't fish good because, you know, I was kind of paranoid that it'd come back or another snake would come back, you know. I mean, you know, a brave snake like that coming at me, usually they'll avoid you for the most part, unless they can't avoid you, you know. And I never seen no ghost or anything. But anyway, we loaded up the 65 Chevy and pickup, and we took off. And I noticed coming home that Hueytown, I had to pass through Hueytown. The cops don't play. They got behind me, and then they wasn't behind me. And then later on they was behind me, and they pulled me over and said I had a tail light out. And I was like, you heard that, Melvina was telling me how much she spent at Dollar General so I could take it off my card. But anyway, they told me I had a tail light, and I don't think they wrote me a ticket at all. If they did, it was just a warning ticket. And so I went straight to Bessemer AutoZone and got what I needed. I don't know how I knew what I needed. Maybe I looked under the truck, I don't know. I got one I needed. It was about to close. And I got under the truck and I was going to fix it right then and there. And I was under it fixing it. And this guy in a red Mustang GT, straight shift, he pulled up. AutoZone done closed. Now, you know, there's a lot of better places to shop for parts than AutoZone. But anyway, you know, for what I was needing, you know, it's all right. But I was under the truck, working on it in the back of the truck, and this dude got mad because they done closed. And so he got in his car, and he popped the clutch and floored it backwards, spinning. And he kind of done a U-turn as he's spinning, backwards U-turn. He stopped about a foot, half a foot away from the bumper of my truck with me under there, you know, and then he took off. I fixed the truck. I went on home, me and Jeannie did, with no other incident. And you know, time I got home, I guess you could say I wish I had seen a ghost. You know, after seeing that snake, having to deal with Hueytown police, and then that angry feller in the Mustang GT, you know. Yeah, it was like 3 incidents in one night, you know. And you know, what kind of incident would it be just to see a ghost, you know? I mean, would it scare me? I don't know. I was a lot braver back then, you know. I mean, by then I was a lot braver, you know. I wasn't no wimp. On the previous video, I was talking about divorce and stuff. People might call me a simp, which some people have, you know. I was talking about forgiveness in some of the comments on some of them stories. But I told them, look, click on me, you'll get me email. When you go to my channel, then email me. I'll give you my number, and I'll let you call my wife and ask her if I'm a simp. You know, I ain't no simp. You know, you know, me and her have had a lot of issues through the years and stuff, you know, but now when she starts, which ain't much, I try to shut it down, you know. And you know, there's times when, you know, I was angry, you know, during the first part of our marriage, you know, and because she's all the time on me. And you know, sometimes she'd leave, sometimes I'd tell her get out, you know, and stuff. And we'd fight like cats and dogs. In fact, we even left some ghosts in the trailer. What is that called? Residual haunting, where you do a lot of them, you let out a lot of emotion in a certain place, and you'll leave an imprint. It's a recording. It's not an intelligent haunting. Well, I couldn't find out. I've heard it before, and then I found out we did it. You can haunt a place while you're still alive. Yeah, my sister-in-law, I might do a separate video about this. My sister-in-law and her husband and kids, they knocked on our door one time, and me and my wife were sound asleep. But they heard us in there fighting like cats and dogs. Not hitting one another, but throwing word slurs at one another, you know, and stuff, you know. But like I said, when I was young, in the beginning of our marriage, you know, I was angry. And it affected me not only with her, but on my outside life. Like the time, you know, I had to turn into the driveway, you know, and it wasn't real flush, you know. It was kind of like a step down. And so I tried to turn easy. And these young punks honked at me when I did. I just tried to take care of my vehicle. And I heard in my mind, you know, which I wasn't old, you know. I was just 30-something. But I heard in my mind, it was my early 30s. I heard in my mind, get out of my way, old man. But anyway, I hit reverse, and Melvin was like, "No, Mike, no, no, no." You know, I don't know what I said. I mean, I might have said, "That dog don't hunt." I don't know what I said. But I went after him, and they done stopped at a store down the road, and I slid up to him, you know, and I was like, "Y'all got," how'd I say it? "Y'all got a problem?" And they was like shaking. No, no. You know, and either one of them probably could kick my butt, but they didn't know that. I scared them boys. But I was kind of taking out on them what Melvina was putting on me, you know, and I should have prayed and handled it different, but I was angry because she's all the time on me, you know, but we get along a lot better now. I mean, we get along good. You know, I love her, and I forgive her. There's just issues with her that, you know, I don't need to talk about, you know, from her past. And anyway, she's a good wife. She's just jealous and stuff, and you know, because of her jealousy, in the beginning she was very controlling, which is okay. You know, I mean, it's not okay, but, you know, it is now. You know, I understand, but when you're in it, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, she'll hunt and fish with me. Or she used to. We get out on George's Lake in that paddle boat. I get jealous. She'd catch more fish than me. And I've been fishing way longer than she has. In fact, I don't think she ever fished before, you know, she fished with me. But anyway, one time one slipped out of my hand and got down there at her feet, and she almost jumped out of the boat and stuff. You know, I'd laugh at her. Another time, you know, I caught a brim and I slung it around, you know, and then slowed it down and just barely tapped her on the arm with it. She let out a shriek and went to the car and looked at me 20 minutes like, you know, she's mad at me and stuff, you know, and I kind of laughed about it, but she took it serious. You know, I might not even need to be telling y'all about it, you know. I had a good time with her, you know. I mean, she go blackberry picking with me and stuff, and we just have fun together and stuff, you know. But we really didn't go riding like me and my first wife, and you know, I mean, but I took her places I didn't take my first wife, you know. But you know, everybody's different, marriages are different, and you deal with everybody differently, you know. Which, you know, I thought all women was the same, pretty much, you know. They just look different, you know, back when I was younger. And oh no, no, all women are not the same, trust me. They may have some similar characteristics or whatever, but no, you can't judge another by one you had previously. But anyway, you know, I mean, I ain't saying I know stuff, but you know, I've had some life experiences and I know a little. Maybe God could teach me the rest, you know. He usually does, especially if I ask him and I'm humble. Okay, well, this was mostly about the Bayview Lake ghost, but I took some rabbit trails. I always do, don't I? Well, not always, but a lot of times. I'm getting on out of here. I got to get ready for work. And I don't want to drive down there 95, 100 miles an hour, 110. It's not good for me. It's not good for others. And the state troopers are catching on to me. And they're actually sitting out there now watching. So I got to be careful. Don't want a ticket. Y'all have a good one. Bye.